So we're going to go over wearing a tool belt while on the job site. It's one of those things that when you watch an electrician do work and they don't have a tool belt on compared to someone doing the same task with a tool belt on, the person with the tool belt is always going to be faster. It's the most efficient way to work, and there's certain things you want to think about when you're setting up your tool bag. Tool bags come in all different shapes and sizes. You can get different pouches for different things. What I'm wearing here is just a really basic, almost the minimum tool belt you can wear. On one side I have all my hand tools, pretty much anything I'm going to need for my task that I'm doing. Wire strippers, dikes, linesmans, different screwdrivers, nut drivers, stuff like that, channel locks, and then on the back I'll put whatever drill I'm using. On the other side you have kind of more of a pouch. It's just an open pouch. This way I can put kind of straps, connectors, couplings, what kind of screws am I using to do the install. All that kind of sits in here. A bigger job, you're going to want to make sure you're set up with more pouches. If I was going to run 200 feet of conduit, I can't fit 20 couplings in here and all the strapping I need. This is too small of a bag. I need to have a separate bag that I can attach and get some more material in there. The whole idea is that when you're doing your conduit run, once you've planned, obtained the material, which includes obtaining it to your tool bag, you can just do the work. You don't have to go back and forth to the truck. You don't have to stop, run 50 feet away, get material, come back, and then keep doing it. You're ready to go. Everything's right on you. So you want to think about that as you are setting up your tool bag and setting up your tools and everything. You want to make sure you have extra pouches. You have extra little auxiliary things that you can attach for whatever the task is. Because there are certain times when I'm doing a small little install. I don't need all the weight of everything I own. I just need to figure out what do I need for this job, get it all set up, good, I'm ready to go, do the work. So we're going to go over installing one of the most common boxes that we install, which are 4S boxes, also 5S boxes. You're going to be using these for installing outlets, just general junction box for 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch pipe runs, stuff like that. The main thing that happens with these boxes is they are manufactured in two different ways. The most common look kind of like this, where each of the edges are kind of stamped together, and it's actually just one piece that they bend and then they put on two sides. The thing with that is they're not necessarily always exactly square. So one thing guys run into is when they install a box, depending on the orientation, if you just kind of install it, throw your level on it, just because you're leveling out, this top section, doesn't necessarily mean the box is going to fully look, squared away. So on these, you want to pay attention to that. You want to, get a level on it to get your general idea that you're level, but you also, definitely you want to step back and really take a look at it. So what you're going to want to do is first just put one screw in there. Get one kind of pivot point in your install. So I gotta mount my box here. Kind of can eyeball it and see, it's pretty level. Get my screw in. Now I got it there to a point where it's going to stay and I can still have some movability to it. Put my level on it. Get it to where the level's saying I'm good. But now I'm actually going to step back and take a look at it compared to the building lines. To me, this actually looks a little bit crooked. You look at it, it kind of looks like the bottom left corner is kind of too far to the left. So I'm going to make an adjustment just by eyeballing it. Now it looks like a straight box. If I were to put my level on here, I'm going to be slightly off on top. But I'm closer to level on that side. Down here, I'm closer to level. On this side, I'm close to level. So you're kind of evening out, all sides of the box. Because realistically, the person that's going to see this box on the wall is not going to have a level on them. They're just going to look at it and see, does it look level? So once I determine I like the way it looks level with building lines and everything, I'm going to put a screw on the opposite end. Double check. I feel good about that. One thing about, we stress a lot about double checking, because if you're always constantly doing something right here and you're not double checking, I'm going to put this in, now I'm going to start running my pipe, I'm going to run a pipe out there, I'm going to run a pipe down here, and I don't take the second to look at it. Now you have all these pipes run and your box is crooked, and at that point it's kind of like, okay, it's a lot to fix, rather than doing it all in the very beginning. And that's how you properly install a junction box. Alright, so we're going to go over a scenario where you're running your conduit, and actually a lot of scenarios you're running from one end to the other. But sometimes you're running from a panel, you're going to go through the building and you're going to hit a machine that's already there in a solid spot. Or you're going to be in a scenario like this where maybe there's some existing box work and you need to connect some things up to existing already installed boxes. What people run into is, say I have on that top rung 2 boxes and I want to connect the 2. You're connecting a straight piece of pipe, you have to remove one of those. So when you're planning how to do things, you always want to find a way to kind of have a 90 involved or some sort of angled conduit so that you're not stuck between 2 places. If I make this happen and I make my final connection happen between these 2 boxes, having a 90 in here, I'm able to bend that 90, fit it into this box, and then put it up into that box. It's way more difficult to do it with a straight piece of pipe. Even going that way, if I want to make this my final pipe, I do the 90, I can put it in there, and then strap it up. So when you're planning your conduit run, you just want to think about that. You're going to get to a certain point where you're between 2 solid spots. So if it's a straight spot, you got to figure you either have to have some straps taken off so that you can kind of loosen the conduit to get it in, or if you can figure out a way to have a 90 somewhere involved that can be unstrapped so you can kind of fit it into a corner slot, that's kind of the best way to do it. So another one of those little things, as you're planning your conduit runs, think about that. What is that final piece going to look like? Because you are going to run into somewhere where you have 2 solid points and something's got to go between them. We're going to go over running conduit, the difference of running conduit based off of your level and based off of building lines. This is a common mistake guys make where they are using their torpedo level and that's everything and that makes it level. They're not noticing building lines. Obviously in construction, things get installed and they might not be exactly level, or over time maybe something has come unlevel. So we're going to use this as a demo that this strut, say this is a major building line. This is top of a wall, or this is a major piece of steel that's running through a building, and I'm running my conduit kind of right down next to it. So I'm running my conduit, and as I'm going, I'm leveling it. And I make it exactly level. Now if you step back and you look at this, so my conduit doesn't look like it's going with the building line. I leveled it out, it's a level conduit, but the building line is not. The building line is not going to change. My conduit can change though, and you can kind of see, it's very slight, but this is only a 5-foot stick of pipe. If this were to go on for 50, 100 feet, by the time I got to the end, I'm going to be real far from this building line. And it's going to look goofy. So what you want to do is you want to kind of look around when you are running pipe. What is the building line? It's usually, maybe the top of a wall, major steel beams, stuff like that. And I actually want to match that. So I'm actually just going to be measuring off of that. So if I'm looking at this and I go, good, top of my pipe needs to be 4 inches. Down here I'm 4.5. So I want to correct that. So as I'm running this, I'm not really necessarily worried about my level anymore. I'm more so worried about my tape measure and getting my constant. Making sure top of my pipe is at 4 inches. And I'm going to run it the whole way like that. Once I find where my building line's at, I find the measurement I want, I'm using that measurement as my stable datum for my conduit run. Now I can go the whole way, and this could even come a little bit more out of level, slightly. Or that, you know, it can kind of go this way and that way, but my conduit is always going to be looking straight with it. So I'm going to go over another little tip about when you're running a conduit, you're running 10-foot lengths of conduit, where do you put your strap, where are you putting your level, kind of the sequence of that, what that looks like. Obviously your first strap has to be within 3 feet of the box. Now, the issue with that is that if I get my conduit in here, and I have a 10-foot stick kind of hanging out over there, and I'm focused in just right on this little part here, getting that part leveled, good. Get my strap put in place, and I nail it down like that. When you have a 10-foot stick of conduit, that backside could be sagging. I'm only looking at this one little side, and then by the time I get over here, well, I level this part out, and it's kind of, that's how you get your conduit looking kind of like a wave. So what you want to do is, you want to, obviously this is not moving. The box is in there, that part is not going to move. So what I'll do is I'll kind of come down to the further end, and I'll get a hand on the conduit somewhere kind of in the middle. This way I can kind of look at a couple different things of, once I have this strapped, where's the conduit going to be? So if I sit there and go, good, if I kind of have a strap somewhere in here, that's looking level over there. That's looking level. And I kind of go back and forth a little bit. Because this first conduit is going to set up the rest of your run. Good, that's level there. That's still level there. Good. I'm good with this little point that I had. I'm going to put my strap there. Now once I have this strapped down, now I have 2 points of attachment. I feel good about it. I'm looking at it. This is level. This is still level. Good. I'm good with this first piece of pipe. I can now come back towards my other part and just throw in the proper strap that I need. Now, as I'm going forward with my conduit run, I'm always going to have a solid point here. I can go about halfway down the stick and be kind of, evening out and holding it to make sure I'm level on multiple spots, not just I'm holding this, I'm looking right here at my level, I'm level right here. Well, what's the other 10 foot of the conduit doing? Is it bowing? Is it going this way or that? So that's why you kind of want to have everything in front of you evened out with certain points kind of held to the wall until you feel comfortable with it and put it in your strap. So I'm going to go over a super common scenario that guys run into where when you're leaving the box, you're making a pretty immediate 90. So let's say I'm coming out of this box here. I only want to go up about a foot, and then I need to 90 and go that way. The most common mistake is people forget you got to have that box offset there. So if I pull my 90, let's just say it's somewhere right in here. So let's say I have my 90 there. Now I got to put a box offset in it because obviously this is flat against the wall. It's not going to make it there. But now I only have this little piece to work with. So putting an offset in there and making it align with this, you can see it's pretty difficult. I have to kind of go up here and I gotta do this and that, and now I gotta flip the whole thing, and it's crazy. So you always want to think about this. If I'm gonna come out of a box or any enclosure with a pretty immediate 90, I want to put the offset in first. Let me show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my offset first. I know that coming out of this box, I got to get a box offset. So I'm going to do that before I even start my measurements to get my 90. Just because I don't want to get my measurements first and then put a box offset, causing a slight bit of shrinkage, and then things can be off. So I get my box offset in first. Now once I have that ready to go, I want to kind of demo this out. So I'm going to pull this 90 and I want to know which way is my 90 going to go with my box offset. So I kind of really visualize it with my hand and kind of looking at it and go, good, it's coming down at that. So I need to have my box offset, I need to bend the 90 that way. So at this point I get my measurements and I lay my box offset flat on the ground. Set up my pipe, like I'm going to do a normal 90. Now this is the part where I do want to really make sure that my box offset is still going to be flat. So I'll keep pressure, I'll kind of change it over, make sure it still looks straight. Good, I feel like it's going to be straight now. Now I just do my normal 90. Use my level, make sure it's 90, get all my measurements, double check it. And now when I put it in, my box offset goes right in there. So I'm going to go over just some tips on strapping conduit where the code requires it is set in stone. That needs to happen every time. But sometimes people will strap their conduits just based off what the code requires. So they have this box here within 3 feet, they put a strap, and this conduit goes, and say that goes, makes a 90 and then goes up another 20 feet. Or coming out of this box, they have a strap within 3 feet, and then say this keeps going another 10 feet. So they put their next strap within 10 feet of that strap. You'll have this big, long area with no strapping. Anytime a conduit makes a 90, this part can be real weak, and this part can come off the wall and be sagging. So you want to think about that. Whenever you're putting in 90s, you're putting in offsets, anything where it might be leaving the wall, coming back to the wall. Just because per code you have enough strapping, you want to look at it mechanically. Where's the weakest point of the conduit run? It's always going to be where 90s are, where 4-bent saddles are, where offsets are. So general rule of thumb, on a 90, I like to have one kind of right before the 90 and somewhere, within a few feet of the 90, just to make sure that that section of conduit is really solidly put to the wall. On offsets, I like to put a strap, right before it leaves the wall. I don't want to have a strap back here and then my offset leaves and you got this angle right here that's not really solid to the wall. So right before an offset leaves, throw another strap right there. Right when it lands, throw another strap right there. You can always just kind of look at it and go, there's no code requirement that you can have too many straps. You also want to look at it aesthetically though and go, not an overkill. I don't need a strap here, 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 here. Like that's a little much. You want to kind of look at it overall for the general install. What's it look like, as well as where are my weak points, and make sure you have proper support. Another common strapping point we run into is where you have multiple junction boxes that are actually, say they're within 5 feet of each other. So technically, to be within 3 feet of each box, you just need one strap right in the middle. Technically, that's fine. Aesthetically, I don't think it looks pleasing. It could to some people. Also, you know, structure-wise, it doesn't take that much more to just do a clean strap, you know, within a foot of this box and within a foot of this box. You know, even them out, make it look nice. You know that pipe is really solid to the wall. So think of that kind of thing as well. You don't want to figure out how to just meet code requirements. You really want to figure out how to put a good-looking install in that has all the proper support it needs. So I want to go over visualizing your conduit bending using a solid piece of wire. Sometimes when you're getting into some more complex bending, it's hard to figure out where do I put my bender, what's the orientation of the conduit, what goes where, and a really good little trick for that is to actually use a little piece of solid wire and create your entire conduit in that wire. That way you can sit there and go, good, I'm going to start off, I need a 90. Okay, good. And then it's got to go up and do an offset. And then I got to do another 90 here. Good. Now I can kind of look at the whole conduit run. It's done right there. I can look and go, okay, so my first bend's got to be like that. Then to get my offset, I need to make sure, you know, in my bender, it's sitting like this with the conduit facing that way. That would be the first one. Then I got to flip it to get my second bend. Okay, now I'm going to have this section done. How do I get, okay, now if I put the conduit like this, you know, you're able to have a fully done conduit in your hands and really look at it and go, good, how do I want to orient my bender? What bend should I do first? If I do this bend, will I be able to do this offset? No, I should probably do the offset first, and then I'll be able to lay the offset on the ground and bend this 90. Okay, that would work. And then I got to do this final 90. So if I bend it that, okay, if I go there, you know, you can kind of really get creative with it and see, you know, very easily how the conduit's going to look in the end and what kind of things you need to think about before you just start bending and wasting pipe. So I want to go over planning a run from start to finish and really what the importance of that is. You're going to get to a job site, you find out from the customer, you know, what's needed and wanted. You know you have to go from point A to point B with a 1-inch run. And you kind of take a look at where you're starting from and you go, yeah, this is going to work. And maybe this is your scenario where you're going to start from here. You know that in the first 10 feet of your run, there's an obstacle. So I'm just going to do a 4-bend saddle over there and I'm just going to keep on running. I'm good to go. The reason you don't want to just get going right away is because you don't know what the rest of the run looks like. So say you do start running your conduit and you hit that 4-bend offset, you get down, but then you get a little further down the run and all of a sudden there's a big water pipe right on the wall where you wanted to be. So now you just did a 4-bend saddle, got it looking all perfect. Whoops, there's a big water pipe here now. Okay, now you're kind of into panic mode and going, okay, how do I fix this? Well, I'll do a big 3-bend saddle here, and then good, you get that done. And then all of a sudden you hit something else. You're just going to keep on running into things and you're going to keep on kind of being in a problem solving mode rather than having everything planned out and just being more in a construction mode of I know my install, I know how it's going to go, boom. So in a scenario like this, if you would have seen the water pipe there, you can come up with some different solutions. You know, how far is this water pipe? Could I just do an offset, keep it at that offset level, and then drop back down after I missed the water pipe? Or is there enough obstructions on the wall or wherever you're running to where this makes sense to actually make some racking and go the whole distance having, you know, some legs come off the wall with a little strut support. And if I do it like that, I build all these racks and put them in, I got a straight shot all the way to where I want to go. So really planning out the entire run is a really important step of the planning process. It's not just what are you looking at right here, I really got to get started. It's what are we looking at here, but what are we looking at down there? Because you could have, say you have a pipe run that you're going to be working on for 3 days. You don't want to put 2 days of work into that pipe run and then find on the 3rd day, I never saw this obstruction and this entire pipe run actually isn't kind of where it needs to be. I'd actually, if I did everything 3 feet lower, I'd be fine. But now I got to come up with a solution because I already installed 2 days of pipe and I'm kind of, you know, screwed up here. Okay, well, you know, that's not the ideal way to do your install. So always look at start to finish, every step of what you're going to do. That's all part of the planning process.